So, hi everyone. I'm here with Sean, who's founder at Ong Innovations, and he's going to give us a talk about building our future, our XR future with Bylder. And I'll give the floor to you and let you take it away. Great to have you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Martin. All right. So I am super excited today to talk about Bylder. Just a little bit more background on myself. I have been developing in the XR industry since the HoloLens was first released. I was part of the Wave 1 of the HoloLens, and I jumped into this industry because I saw a huge opportunity, which I will talk about in just a moment, and have also at the same time gotten quite a bit of insight as to the challenges and the opportunities. And I want to kind of wrap all that in the conversation around Bylder today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and I will begin the intro video, and then I'll walk through an agenda of what we're going to be talking about. All right, so let me go next here. All right. So that was a quick intro video that kind of gave you a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a taste of Bylder. And don't worry, we will be diving into a lot more of Bylder towards the end of this presentation, including a demo. So definitely want to stick around for that. But here's an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. So we're going to go through just an overview of the opportunity that's at hand, chatting about our XR future and the building of our XR future. And then we're also going to be talking about some lessons that I've learned and some general observations about some of the challenges that we face in order to get to that XR future and how Bylder can help solve some of those challenges. So I'll be giving a little bit of an introduction to Bylder, chatting about some of its features, and then we'll run through a quick demo. We're actually going to be creating a science museum. You might think, wait, how can we create a VR science museum? Do we have enough time for that? Well, that is how fast Bylder is, so I'm really excited to show you guys that. And then I'll leave some time for Q&A towards the end. All right, so let's dive right in, starting with our XR future. So when I first saw the HoloLens in 2015, before it was released to developers, it was on stage. Microsoft was presenting it. They showed some holograms on the stage. I looked at that and I was amazed. And I, at first, of course, was in disbelief. I'm like, there's no way this is real. This has got to be computer graphics, visual effects, special effects, Adobe After Effects, you name it. Like, there's no way this is real. But if it is real, this is a game changer. And sure enough, I found out when I finally got to try the HoloLens in person that, you know what? This was not fake. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It was the real deal. I even tried to disable the holograms and make it, see how floaty they were, but they were rock solid. And I realized, man, our future with this technology is really, really bright. immediately my mind started going to places and realized, like, why do we use 2D screens? Why are we using a phone? Why can't our phone be replaced with a hologram, right? Why are we using TVs? Why are we using computer monitors? Why can't all of those be replaced with holograms? Why do we have watches that we wear on our wrist? Why can't those be replaced with holograms? And then suddenly I realized, like, man, our entire digital world can be replaced with holograms. They can be replaced with digital objects. And imagine when these technologies, these devices become more and more powerful, which we're seeing in the XR industry today. Now we're starting to see some rapid innovation. Devices are getting more powerful. They're able to do more, but also become smaller. When these become as small as glasses, you might not want to wear a helmet out in the public. Maybe the HoloLens might even be a little bit bulky to wear on the bus or anything like that right now. Maybe not. Who knows? It depends on the person. But as the technology miniaturizes, gets smaller, we are going to be living in a world where our digital and physical environments merge. I really believe in my heart that we are still in the dark ages of computing. If you think about it, computers weren't actually invented that long ago. 100 years ago, did computers exist? We're talking about maybe 70 years ago, 50 years ago, before they really started to catch on. And this, it's kind of sad that we have to hunker over a keyboard and use a mouse that's really, it takes a lot of training to get to, fine motor skills to move a mouse and see it on the screen. It's very inhuman, right? So we've been for, the last few decades still in the dark ages of computing, looking over a 2D screen. 2D screens have started to eat more and more of our lives. Our phones, our maps are now consumed by a 2D screen. Now, even with COVID-19, look at us right now. This is all on a 2D screen. Our phone calls, even our cameras, we've ditched our cameras for our phones. So more and more our work, our spreadsheets, writing documents, barely any of us use pen and paper anymore. A lot of it's happening on the computer. So as time goes on, more and more of our lives are getting sucked in the world of this 2D screen. And we're becoming, in a sense, kind of sad to say, but less and less human. But I do see XR as being kind of the breaking free of that, is to say, you know what? This is not how we were meant to live and work and waste away our lives, just sitting stationary in front of a computer, hunkered over a screen. But no, we're meant to use our hands. We're meant to stretch out. We're meant to walk. We're meant to kind of be anchored in the real world. And so I really believe that as the technology progresses, our XR future is going to look really, really bright. It's going to be multi-user. It's going to have shared experiences. Our digital and physical world will really meld. But in order to realize that future, technically, there's nothing stopping that future from existing right now. We have all of the devices. Even though they might be a little bit bulky, we have all of the devices. So why are we not already living in that future? What's going on? And the reason is content. There's just, a lot of people are making content, but there's not enough content. If we're truly going to live in a digital, physical, melded world, there's going to have to be a lot of content. Somebody has to make a watch that you can wear on your wrist. That's a hologram, right? Somebody's going to have to make a calendar you can put on your wall that can just stick there all the time. Thousands, millions of things, millions of apps that have yet to be created. So, what is the pathway to get there? What are some of the challenges to get there? We're all in this XR boot camp together. I'm really excited because, my closest friends, literally and figuratively speaking, are all here together. It's this fun time. We get to talk about the XR industry, and this is great. We are all part of this kind of revolution for building the XR future, for building the holographic future. But there's just not enough of us, right? There needs to be way more people, and this needs to be way easier and more accessible to a lot more people if we're going to truly build this thing out together. All right, so what are some of the challenges? App creation is time consuming. It's really time consuming. There's a lot of, even for the most experienced devs that I talk to, and myself included, that I experience, there's build errors, there's compilation errors, there are the landscape is changing so fast. It's really hard to keep up. There's so many new SDKs coming out all the time, so many new platforms coming out all the times and versions, and it's hard to keep up with. And creating something simple, you can whip something up simple, maybe in not too much time, but to try and get rid of all the bugs, to try and make sure it works well across platforms, and to make sure that something you made a year ago is still even valid today, all of that is really time consuming. The other piece that's really high, we're needing a lot more people in this industry. The barrier to entry is frustratingly high. So I was at the MIT hackathon earlier this year, back in January. In fact, I tell people it was actually last year, because everything pre-COVID feels like last year. But yeah, we had hundreds of people squished all in close quarters, and it was a blast. Definitely looking forward to getting back to that kind of interaction. But man, it was a 2 or 3 day hackathon. Some of the brightest minds, there, both as students, both as participants, and also as mentors. But man, it took us probably a solid day to day and a half for most people to even get their environment set up to the point where they could start making. And that was with experts from companies helping mentor these people. So, there's so many things you had to install: Visual Studio, you had to install Unity, you had to install Unreal, you had to install all the SDKs, you got to import this, import that. And then for every platform you want to develop on, you got to download those packages. And then you got to make sure all the checkboxes, all the things are right, make sure your build settings are just right. The list is just long. And if you missed any one of those things, you're going to get a build error. And it's really confusing, really tough for so many people. And that's just to get your environment set up. That's not even saying you're building anything. That's just to say, hey, this is the baseline, right? So that barrier is super, super challenging, makes it really hard. And then, of course, on top of that, spatial development, creating apps spatially is, of course, you require a lot more learning and experience on top of that to get some hard concepts that maybe some of us who've been in the industry for a while, it's fine. We can say anchor and we know what we mean: spatial anchor, spatial alignment. But even to wrap your head around those concepts, if you're not already in this industry, take some time. When I'm talking to people who's not really in the spatial computing realm and try to explain and break down some of these ideas to them, I realize, man, there's a lot there that we take for granted that needs to be unpacked. And because of that, finding talent, finding XR developer talent can be challenging and expensive right now in this day and age. There's a lot of people wanting to get into it, but the barrier to entry is high. And there's a lot of people who can tinker, but when it comes to the really hard stuff, the hair pulling stuff, there's relatively few people who can kind of get beyond those roadblocks. And so it's a challenging landscape. As I'm going around, I've got a small development agency called Ong Innovations, and we fulfill contracts. And to find a developer who I can say, hey, why don't you do this from start to finish, this project, to find somebody who doesn't need expert help or who doesn't need, it's really tough. It's really, really tough. And so that's been kind of a limiting factor to how fast we can scale and grow. Even though we might see a lot of the demand, we just, it's been a bit of a challenge for that part of it. And then, of course, the final bullet point here: creativity and freedom can be hampered by technical challenges. So by the time you're bogged down with all of the technical coding challenges, you're so exhausted that every last bit of creativity is kind of gone out the window by that point. You're just like, all right, I don't care how this looks. I just want it to work, please. Right? It should be the other way around. It should be, hey, everything works. Now let me be creative. Let me design it to look nice. Let it just flow, right? And you can just kind of flow and create the experience you're really wanting to create. So those are some of the challenges that we face getting to that XR future that we all know is inevitable. We all know it's coming, but how do we accelerate that? How do we kind of break down some of these barriers? So this is a problem that I personally have been facing over the last few years. These are issues that I've seen time and time again. And this was kind of the genesis for wanting to make a platform like Byldr. So here's Bylder's promise. So several years ago, I started thinking like, man, we really need development to be way easier, especially for people who don't have very strong coding experience, right? So I started making little plugins, little drag and drop sharing, prefabs, little things that would just make it so that you don't really have to think much about all the complexities. All that's already been solved, and you can just kind of put a few things in. And I realized even that was that barrier was too high. So, this is what a platform that's really, really scalable needs to be, in my opinion. PC-free development. I truly, honestly believe that XR is the next generation of personal computing, that we will do away with our flat screens. At some point, I feel like it's a sad device, to be honest. I feel like it's a sad device. We all enjoy and take it for granted right now, but I do feel like it needs to be more human. So Byldr is one step in that direction. It's saying, hey, look, we do not require a PC. We do not even need a PC. Wear the headset, and you can make your applications in the headset, fully in the headset. So I would say right now we're probably about 90% PC free. You still need a PC to upload 3D assets, but there's no reason in the future you couldn't make 3D assets with XR device and upload that and then download it. So there's still a little bit of PC needed, but yeah, kind of looking at the future of, hey, what does a PC free future look like if XR is the main device? Very low barrier to entry. There's no scripting or coding. There is just kind of hooking up, using your hands to place things, and then there's some simple logic in there that you can use. You might even call it visual scripting, so that's fine, but there's no programming languages, text-based programming languages that you need to learn. Programming can look like all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be text. Why does programming have to be text, right? It does increase the barrier to entry. I'm not saying it's bad. I love coding. I love programming, and of course Byldr is built on top of that. But for a lot of people who are just wanting to go and build something, removing all of the coding requirements, I think, is huge, and doing more of a visual scripting, kind of a logic and connecting pieces, is a much lower barrier to entry. Human-centric creation. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where I was saying, why are we hunkered over a computer? Let's stretch out, let's walk, let's use our hands to grab things, let's put things together, let's use our voice for voice commands. Let's be a lot more human-centric in the way that our bodies are meant to be. We're meant to be spatial. We are spatial creatures. We live in a 3D world, and so let's use that. Let's use what we have to actually create, as if we're building a boat, or we're building a house, or you're with your friends building a fence. It's the same way with Byldr now. It's a very human-centric creation, where things are meant to be grabbed, they're meant to be pinched, they're meant to be manipulated with your hands. With Byldr, I decided I don't want people to have to deal with tough SDKs, APIs, and versions, and dealing with compatibilities. So all of that is taken care of on the Byldr side. So Byldr takes care of making sure the Azure Spatial Anchors versions are updated, the Visual Studio versions, the taking care of all like the Bing Maps SDK, connections to stuff like Azure Speech SDK. So all of those really tough things that people normally would spend a lot of time creating accounts for and downloading this and figuring out what's the right version. Even like this can build to Oculus Quest and HoloLens 2. We take care of all the multi-platform stuff. All of that, all of those headaches and compilation errors and build errors, we pull out our own hair to take care of all that. It's not that those don't have to be done. They still have to be done, but we take care of all the hard stuff so that builders and developers using Byldr can just focus on the experience. And of course, I truly believe sharing is caring. An isolated experience is no fun. It has to be a multi-user experience. So that's why from the ground up, Byldr is built so that when you create an application, you can make it multi-user. Right now, to make a multi-user application is really hard. Fortunately, in Byldr, it's one little toggle. You just go into the settings, you press multi-user, and boom, your application is multi-user. You don't have to worry about it. It also has collaborative building, so you can have multiple people coming together and building out a scene together. I can, tell somebody, hey, you go put this over there. Hey, can you put this tree over there? Or hey, can you put this menu together while I'm over here? So Byldr has collaborative building. This is actually a brand new feature that was just finalized in the last couple weeks. And when you're going to build something in the real world, you want to do it maybe not just by yourself. You want to do it socially, with friends. So whether it's remote, whether somebody is halfway across the world or in the same room with you, you can do collaborative building and create multi-user applications. So tons and tons of features. Byldr has tons and tons of features. I will not go into depth on each of these because I could easily spend 4 hours to barely scratch the surface. And this is not an exhaustive list, but just to kind of highlight some of what's in the bullet points here, I'll just read through a couple of these or a few of these features. So it's built with the intention of using Quest, Oculus Quest, both 1 and 2, and HoloLens to hand tracking. So it's a hands-first experience. You can use controllers, but it's definitely meant to just use your hands. Create multi-user apps. We talked about that. We talked about collaborative building, the ability to import custom 3D models. There's a OneDrive import tool. I'll just pause right here. I get requests all the time to create 3D model viewers. Clients will contact me and say, hey, can you build me this custom, 3D model viewer? And those types of application historically is, with custom branding and all that does take quite some time. And now with this OneDrive import tool, you can just, put that in there, and within a few minutes, you can create an application that customers can load their own 3D models if they connect it with their OneDrive account. So lots of possibilities there. Export the scene to a model tool. So if you wanted to use this as a 3D modeling tool, you could put in a bunch of 3D models, create a full scene, create something nice, and then you can actually export that as a 3D model to then use in another tool. So you could use it as kind of a 3D modeling and prototyping tool if you wanted to. Just an extra feature in there. A shader and texture tool so that you can change the way your objects look and feel. Custom voice commands. You can easily put in custom voice commands in there. Speech to text annotations. That's powered by Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Speech SDK. Bing Maps, 3D Maps. That's powered by the Bing Maps SDK. You've got some of the MRTK features like bounding box. You've got manipulation settings. All of those settings are exposed in Byldr, so you can kind of fine-tune solvers. You can do, I don't even have solvers on the list here. You can do solvers, manipulation settings, bounding box, skybox tool if you're creating a VR app and you wanted to change the skybox, collider settings. You can do mesh colliders, no colliders, box colliders, physics. You can add physics to your objects and animations, whether it's animations built into the objects you're importing or recording your own custom animations. Multiple scenes, you can create multiple scenes and navigate through them. And you can build to an APK or an Apex. So when you're done building your perfect application, let's say you spend maybe an hour building it, it looks great, it's fantastic, it runs great. You can request an APK or for, let's say, Oculus Quest, or an Apex for a HoloLens 2, and you can send that to your client. You can say, hey, here's the app package, here's what we delivered, and or you can publish it to the store if you want it to. So this doesn't just run in Byldr. You can have it just run in Byldr, but you can also request the actual app package themselves. Of course, you can share builds with other people. If you wanted to tell them, hey, download Byldr, I'll send you the pin. And every time there's an update, I'll let you know, and you can keep opening the same build and see what the progress is like. Great way to share progress with clients. Great way to share progress with friends and coworkers. And of course, we've got logic in there. We've got actions for your objects to do things, and you've got triggers to tell your objects what it will trigger them doing things, stuff like pressing or air tapping something, or a voice command, or even an animation trigger, or a wide range of other triggers. And then parenting, grouping. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but just to kind of give you a taste and a feel for some of the things that Bylder can do. All right, so I've got still some time here, so I'm going to go ahead and walk through a demo. I did promise that I would be creating a simple science museum, a VR science museum. This demo specifically was done in the Oculus Quest, but the UI is the same between the Oculus Quest and a HoloLens, so you could do the same thing with the HoloLens, a HoloLens 2 as well. So let's go ahead and dive right into this.
Okay, so let's go ahead and create a VR museum experience. So the first thing I want to do is open up my Create menu, and then I want to go into Import so that I can import the custom models that I had previously uploaded to the web portal. So let's start out with the podium. Download this. Okay, so I've got my podium here. Let's go ahead and size it. You can see the color's a little bit off, but no worries. We'll take care of that in just a moment. I can open up the colors and materials section and change this to a nice blue glow. All right, so next we want to import another model that can be on top of the podium. Let's do a model of a DNA helix. So wait for that to load in. And fantastic. All right. So let's see, where do we want to put these? Let's go ahead and put all of the podiums that we want to create by the wall. Can go ahead and put the DNA. Now they're a little bit far away. If I was in a large enough area, I could walk there, but good thing I've got teleportation built in here. So now I can just teleport over, go ahead and resize it. I love the hand tracking. It just makes manipulation and movements so much easier, whether you're doing it directly or at a distance using far interaction. And this is all powered, of course, by the MRTK, which has fantastic user experience. All right, so we got the DNA helix at the right size. Let's go ahead and place it in the right place. Now I'm going to do the same a few more times with some other 3D models of other exhibits. So I'm going to make more of those podiums, which you can see here. I've done that. Let's go ahead and put in a 3D model of an atom. You can see the protons, neutrons, the electrons kind of flying around there. All right, let's go ahead and put that just so. Here's another 3D model looking at the cross section of a volcano. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the podium, size it just right. So I've created a few of these podiums, and the last one we'll do is the cross section of a cell. All right, so here we go. Let's put the cell up here on this last podium, adjust it just right. Fantastic. Now I want to show you something else. If I move the podium, the cell won't move with it. But what I can actually do for each of these podiums is I can parent objects. So I've chosen the cell and I want to parent it to the podium that is right under it. So you can see these are all the list of objects. Let's scroll down a little bit and select the proper parent. And once I select that, now if I were to move the podium, you can see the cell moves with it. So I can group objects together as I'm building. I can also pin objects so that in case I didn't want to move the podium by accident, you can pin it in place. That way it makes the building process easier. Fantastic. Here is the beautiful beginning of my science museum. This was made extremely fast with Bylder. I can make adjustments on the fly, and I can visualize what it's going to look like in real time without having to build it to the device. All right, one other thing, let's go ahead and do a little physics playground. So let's put down here a little folding table. And let's go ahead and put a few objects because I want people to be able to feel kind of how objects react to physics. Let's go ahead and color some of these objects. I'm going to drop in a few cubes in here. Later on, I'll drop in a cylinder, and I'll also drop in a sphere. And just for fun, we're going to go ahead and color these with different colors. We'll have pink, green, yellow. Let's just make a nice little array of colors so that we can just make this look a little bit more fun. I can also clone objects. You can see I've created one and then I cloned it. That way I can have a copy of it. All right, just change the color on this object right over here. Now keep in mind, these right now are just objects. There's no physics or anything attached to them yet, but I will show you in just a moment how to add some physics to it. All right, I've got some primitives in there, got them nice and colored. Now I'm going to go and select each object and go to the physics menu and turn on gravity for each. All right, so now let's do the same thing for all of the other objects. To save time, I won't show all of them. I'll just show a couple of them here. All right, so now I've got gravity turned on, but I can't grab them. This is in preview mode right now. The reason why is because I need to enable movement, or the ability to grab and move with hands on these objects. So let's go into the settings for the object and let's check the movable checkbox. All right. So there's a whole bunch of settings in here for how you interact with objects. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for all of these objects. I'm going to make them all movable. Now let's check it out now. Okay, great. I can move it, but it still doesn't quite feel natural because when I'm rotating my wrist, they don't really move. Well, that's because their rotation right now is locked with a single hand, right? But you can see here, physics is working great. Gravity is working great. It's falling on the table. The collisions are fantastic. It's all looking very nice, but I do want to be able to grab the objects and have them rotate with my hands. So let's go ahead into the settings one more time under the interaction settings for each object. And I'm going to go and look at the manipulation type, or sorry, the one hand rotation for near. You can look at it for near interaction, far interaction. I'm going to have it rotate around the grab point. All of these settings are actually tied to the MRTK settings for each of these objects. Okay, now you can see here, it's rotating around the grab point. So I can grab it and really feel like I am holding a cube and looking at it. And all of these settings are exposed using the Bylder menu. And this is just fantastic because the build time, the time it takes to actually prototype an experience, you can see in just a few minutes, you can create something that would normally take a very long time in another engine. Here's an example of another built-in tool that we have for 3D maps. So you can actually import Bing Maps 3D, all built in. You don't have to worry about importing any SDKs. You don't have to worry about build errors, whether it's compatible with a platform or not. All of the settings are exposed during with our menu. And this works automatically. If you build it in Quest, it's going to automatically work on HoloLens 2 and vice versa. So this really drastically reduces iteration time. It drastically reduces the level of skill required to put together these experiences. You can focus all of your efforts on the experience, on the UI, on the design. You can import your own buttons, import your own graphics. Here is a quick example showing how to set up triggers. So you can set up actions and triggers. In this example, we're actually going to press a button and then cause flowers to grow and shrink from each one. So you can see we have a whole system in here for easily hooking up logic. So you can go through and just hook up logic, which is object based. So now you can see, press the button and then the flowers all disappear. And then press the button again, and now you can see all the flowers are growing. So simple logic, advanced logic, it's really up to your imagination. Okay.
All right, fantastic. Am I on mute? I don't think I am. I think you can all hear me. All right, fantastic. So yeah, so you saw that was just a few minutes. Granted, I edited it down a little bit, so maybe took it from 15 minutes down to about 7 or 8 minutes. But to be honest, 15 minutes is probably just your build time when using traditional development. When I say build time, I mean actually creating that app package to deploy to your device. Whereas in this one, you can create a museum in that time frame, right? And imagine what you could do in an hour, right? Imagine what you could do in 3 hours or a day, right? So this really brings down development from weeks, down to hours or days, right? Takes it down from months down to days, and you don't have to find extremely rare and expensive and hard to find talent. we can now democratize this, basically make it so that, hey, anyone can, with just maybe one day of training, maybe two, can come in and start making applications. They can focus on the design, they can focus on content, and less on all the complexities that happen behind the scenes. Leave the complexities to the few people that are out there to kind of tear out their hair, and then let's grow this thing, this XR industry, to make it more ubiquitous. And this is just the very beginnings. So with that, I will, the moderator, Martin, I guess we're going to open it up for Q&A now. Is that right?
Yeah. So thank you for that talk. It was super interesting.
Thank you.
And there was someone from the chat wrote that he was also at the hackathon and also feels that it was really a different year. I mean, that's probably something that all of us are having in terms of what happened to 2020.
Yes, yeah, it feels like another planet almost,
But like, did you have then more time now to develop even Bylder even further? Because like basically you can't go anywhere, so you need to spend time on working, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We're builders. We've got quite a team behind it, and we're kind of all in. And it's in order to really support the XR industry, there's an endless number of features that can be included in Builders. It's a really big undertaking. I would definitely acknowledge that even though it's got all those features I mentioned, those features barely scratch the surface of everything that we could do. And so we're definitely looking to, be in this for the long haul. And, of course, we're looking for all the help and support we can get.
So I do have a question here from Adib, and he's asking that he really likes what he's seeing, and he asks about, does it allow for a real-time multi-user co-build? And I think you actually mentioned that this is able, that's possible.
Yep, definitely. When you open up the settings for your build, you'll see an option. It's called Collaborate, and you just turn on that option, and now anybody who enters that same build will be able to start collaborating with you. There's different levels. I'll just touch on it for a little bit. There's different levels of collaboration that we hope to enable in the future. For right now, there can be one master builder who has control over the menu, and that master builder can import objects and put in the logic, and then everyone else as part of the collaborative building session, they can move things around, they can resize things, they can place things, but they don't have access to the menu. However, they can request the menu. So on your wrist, you'll see a button. So you press that button and the master builder can then give you the menu. So only one person at a time can have the menu to do some of the more complex tasks. In our roadmap, we're hoping that everyone will have the menu and can truly build independently. But for right now, it's more of a master builder and then other people working on things on the side. And you can still have the menu going around to different people and change who's the master builder.
Cool. There's already the next question on how do you save a project with the assets you've created and reload it later? So
right now, everything gets saved up to, there's a web portal. Everything gets saved up to the web portal. Our projects are called builds, BYLDS. And so you can create an unlimited number of builds. And when you open up a build, you put in all of the 3D models. It gets auto-saved every, I think, 10 seconds right now. Of course, there's a button to manually save if you want to, if it makes you feel better. And then, yeah, next time you open the app it can be on the same device. It can be on a different device. As long as you're logged into the same account, you'll be able to load your build on any other device.
And he has already a second question. How can you upload your own scene?
So your own scene, so you can create, let's say, a 3D model of a scene. Let's say you want a forest, right? So you can create in Blender or any other tool a big forest, and then you just upload that to the web portal, and then you download that, and you can start building a forest experience from that 3D model of the scene. So we do have three built-in scenes. The environment, I would say, one is what you're seeing in the video, which is kind of like we call it the loft. It's like a big room. There's another big room that's also white. But then there's a third one we call a blank scene. So in the HoloLens, if you don't want to see a VR scene, if you just want to see your actual environment, you would choose the blank scene. Or in the case of the person asking the question, if you want to import your own environment or your own forest or whatever it might be, a city, then you would choose the blank environment. That way you can place your own environment on top of that.
And let me ask, because you said there's a couple of people working on it. So how many people are working on Bylder?
Yeah, there's about 10 people, I would say, on and off. There's, of course, one or two kind of developers who are pretty much on it full time, on and off, maybe up to 3 or 4, depending on how many projects we have going on it. But we're actually using, we use Byldr to fulfill some of our client projects as well. So yeah, there's always people working in Byldr and then also working on Byldr at the same time. And then we've got a bunch of other people helping out with all sorts of other, from marketing to legal to finance, and everything in between.
So the person here asking all these questions, they probably know you from the first HoloLens conference at Microsoft.
Okay, so, fantastic. So I don't think I can see the questions. Is that right, Martin?
I'm not sure if they should be in the stream. So I'm not sure if you can see them, but okay, I can read it out. So the name is MLH Test, and he writes, "Bro, this is awesome. You've come a long way since the first HoloLens conference at Microsoft." So don't know who that is, but probably someone you've actually met, and so they're watching and seeing what the current state of the of Bylder is.
Yeah.
And also there's a little bit of a lag between when they post that to YouTube and when it shows up for me here and when I can embed it. But I'm running the stream also over here, so I can see that there's something coming, and I'm like waiting to be able to embed it also.
Fantastic.
And then you said earlier in your talk, there's not enough content. So people need to create assets to put them out there. So is there a place where you would get assets that, like, is there a sharing platform that you would say, hey, that's where the assets should go in a certain licensed way that you can integrate them?
So yeah, so right now, you can upload your own 3D models and pictures and audio files. And we do plan in our roadmap, we do plan to make that a little bit more like a marketplace so that people can share assets. Right now, it's not a marketplace, so it only stays in your account and nobody else can see the assets that you upload. So that's coming. But yeah, I'd say for right now, wherever you might want to find or upload 3D models, there's a few other websites like Sketchfab. There's Turbo Squid. There's one of my favorites is to look for models on Paint 3D in their library. I don't think you can upload. They used to have Remix 3D, but I don't think that's available anymore. But yeah, for right now, there's a few places online where you can download and upload models, and they take into account all the different licensing types as well.
All right. So there's a new question. So from Steven. And he asks, how do you see Bylder working for education? And that's also very interesting for me because I also work in education. So how do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it plays a huge role for people learning about spatial computing, especially, if the XR industry is going to become ubiquitous and very important. Not everyone who's in every industry is wanting to become a coder. So Bylder allows you to bypass the coding part of it and just immediately focus on design. Right now, it's really hard to even be a design student in VR or AR without knowing coding, because you have to also learn a little bit of coding and a little bit of the complexities. So Bylder allows any of those students to immediately learn about some of the key features and some of the key concepts of AR, VR, XR development immediately diving in and experiencing it without having to go through some of the tougher hurdles. And they can focus a lot more on the user experience as well. And I do believe that, for us to reach a lot of people, the barriers have to be way lower. And I think that this is a much more approachable approach in education, for sure. And I don't know if that was getting at the question, if it's more about how do educators teach AR/VR, or how can AR/VR be used to create educational experience. I'm happy to talk about that as well.
Yeah, maybe Stephen can elaborate on that. We'll just need to give it a little bit of time for the delay. But anyway, so who was the youngest person so far to use Byldr? Do you know?
Yeah, so the youngest person's actually my kids, as far as I'm aware. So I've got 3 kids, age 8 or age 10, 8, and 5, and all of them have used Byldr, and they love creating experiences. In fact, we're creating kind of like a little winter wonderland, and I told them, I said, hey, can you create this so that other kids can enjoy and play around with some snow and build a snowman and decorate a Christmas tree. And they are all so excited. They've gone in and they're putting in all the models. And for them, it's super easy. They don't even know the pain that's gone through to make Bylder.
Super. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you also said there's so many things that you want to integrate.
Yes.
The list is endless. I know. But what would be something that you say, hey, this is super the next killer feature that needs to be implemented? Like, what are you working on?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm wanting to put in spectator view so that you can use mobile phones and tablets to be able to see what other people are looking at. I think that's super important in the XR industry right now, especially as people are not yet used to wearing headsets. Having a mobile phone or tablet to view what other people are seeing is important. Video chat and audio chat, that's not something we have in there yet. So remote collaboration's tough right now without audio chat. You still have to call somebody up on the phone to speak with them, even though you can still see them remotely. So I think definitely getting some of that in there. Remote assistance capabilities, kind of a remote assist tool. I know that's a very popular type of app that people want to create. So creating a little plugin for that, I think would be great. Having in like the ability to easily create kind of like a templated training type experience. You can still create a training experience with Bylder, but having more of a template to put that together, I think would be pretty fun. Yeah, there's a lot. I could easily go through the whole list, but it might take a day.
Yeah. Okay, so there's someone removed the message, the question again.
Okay.
Okay, I read it and I was like, yes, okay, that's the next one that's going to come up.
Okay.
So for anyone watching us, you have a few more minutes, but not too many, because we're both going to a panel and talk about the future of XR.
Yes.
And so we need to switch channels and servers. So if you have any questions for Sean, put them out now, your last chance. Otherwise, join us on channel 1 for the panel. And so here's the question. Maybe we put up the last slide, because Project Zada is asking how they can contact you. So let me just put back the slide. So, and I think everything is visible here. So here's Sean's Twitter, email, LinkedIn, and you just type in Bylder.app and then you get to the website. So
you can go to Bylder.app. So yeah, if you haven't already, feel free to go up on there and sign up, and then you'll get some email updates as we release new versions. You can actually download the beta for Bylder on SideQuest for the Oculus Quest. And if anybody wants to try it for the HoloLens 2, it's currently going through approval on the Microsoft Store. But if somebody wants early access to a beta, they can email me and I'd be happy to hook them up. But yeah, all my contact info is on there, and yeah, definitely feel free to download and give Bylder a spin today. I'd love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, so here's Project Zada writing, "Thank you, great product," with a heart. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I think we'll wrap it up here. Super interesting. I definitely need to go and check it out. And I think also the people that just watched the stream. And also Adib says thanks. And yeah, so see you in the panel in the other room.
That sounds great. Thank you, Martin. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.